had they actually stuck to what they said, which was to take their most valuable assets. So that's why I'm hoping, beyond hope, for a more intelligent outlook where it's like, no. Ackerson planned this to throw them off. So here we are, Halo series, Season 2, seeing up to Episode 5. Episode 6 just came out. We haven't really watched that yet. But what do you think of the series so far?
Good. I mean, the second season is far superior to the first season. The first season was really slow, really boring. Just, I think they realized in this season that they made a mistake in the first season trying to slow play the events of Halo. Because we all got into this show because we wanted to see Master Chief get on Halo and kick some Covenant ass. That's what we wanted to see. We don't really care about the other side characters that they invented. We don't really care about the subterfuge of, the Covenant attack on thing. I guess some people might, but personally, I don't.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I'm not a Halo lore purist, so...
I'm not a purist either. So, all these people, whenever they start complaining, they're not following the books. I'm like, well, they have an intellectual property, and they decided to change things up to fit a TV narrative, which is fine.
And you've already seen it. You've already seen the Halo. You've read the books.
Exactly. I get pissed off, not just in this thing, but in lots of different mediums where people complain, we're not following the source material. Well, do you really want them just to completely shot for shot redo every scene in the books and in the video games? Or do you want to see something that second guess what's going to happen?
I have a thought on this.
Okay.
And I think it's not localized to just this show.
Yeah.
I think there is a serious need in Hollywood there's a serious risk aversion in these studios. And so someone comes up, pitches a new show, and they're like, it sounds good in theory, but why will people watch it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this came with Star Trek. I think this came with Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
The
Rings of Power.
Yeah. RR. Sorry. So yeah, I think there's a story concept, and you got a few writers. They're going to pitch this as a property, and then the studio is going to be like, yeah, it sounds good, but this sounds like it's also going to be a lot of money. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your story, and we're going to slap a Halo sticker on it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. It's not really the same story, not really the same character. I'll tell you what, you tweak some of the characters, rename them a little bit. You got yourself a Halo series.
Yeah. I don't think it was...
There's still meat on that bone, I
don't think it was necessarily that for this show. I think what probably did happen was probably a combination of what you're saying, and that there was just a lot of studio interference with this is going to be a big Halo show. We got to stretch this out for 15 seasons. So we can't just jump right into right before the first game or that in the first season. You're crazy. I mean, we gotta save that for season 4, so keep people around.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that
I agree that there definitely is that aversion in Hollywood to risk, and they want to slap on intellectual property onto a story in order to get that appeal. I mean, we were just talking about that with the series that just the Naked Gun series with what's his face. And just you could just do a cop comedy. You could bring back a slapstick cop comedy. You don't have to call it Naked Gun. Yeah, but that's going to bring in an extra 1,000 people into watching this movie instead.
And then everyone will swear it off if it's bad. It's got to be good. It's got to be that's the problem. I think that they maybe it's an overestimation of their abilities or an overestimation of understanding what people want. But it's got to be really good.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that. And I say that because people assign a large amount of emotional nostalgia to that. Sure, you want to bring in a new audience, you want to open it up to the new age, but writers need to recognize, acknowledge, and incorporate those existing story and character core elements to the story that made the IP as successful as it is, that made it so recognizable that it is now ripe for exploitation in this new pet project. And I just don't think modern writers do a very good job. It's almost as if the writers themselves have this defiance about them to want to do what they want to do so bad that they'll ignore the things that work, the ground that has already been laid for them with these core concepts, do their new completely unrelated thing, and then scramble trying to find out why, one, the core fan base doesn't appreciate it, but then two, the gamble that they took to bring in new viewers didn't work either. Right? It's not just like and that's the thing. If I look at this Halo series in a vacuum, right? It's not Halo. It's just a sci-fi show doing its thing. I judge it different.
Yeah.
Than if it's now you've labeled your main character as Master Chief. Right. And that's innate, right? I have those years. I'm not a lore purist in that I'm, hey, they didn't stick to the books. And what's his name died, and that never happened until this point. Like, where's the Pillar of Autumn? Right? And it's like, well, but I've already played the games. Like, I already know what happens.
But and that's the thing is I don't think they realize with these things. And they must realize it, but I just understand why they keep falling in. Like, yes, like, they're, like, the name will bring in a certain percentage of people to give it a shot, but it also brings in a lot of criticism that will, like, deter rather people that like the property or even people that are on the fence to watch it. Because that's what I've seen about this show is that a lot of people haven't watched it because it's very commonly known that they are not following the story of the games, at least not to the letter. And I guess there's just some people that are just like, I don't know if I should watch this.
Even if it wasn't what I think it was, which was, I want to create this sci-fi show, or maybe it was even a fantasy show, for all I know. And they're like, and this is the main character, this is kind of the rough storyline, and they're like, great, we just acquired Halo as an IP. We're going to do that with your story.
Yeah, I can see that's where it started, for sure.
It's like when we go to these conventions, right? I don't know how many people, it's a novelty, right? I think it's exceptional that we have so much Star Trek content now relative to...
Oh, by the way, should we let, like, all the fans out there of the Sweet Sweet Candy Boyz to come see us in Vegas? And
yeah, come see us in Vegas. STLV.
We will not have a booth. We
will not have a booth. We'll just be regular people walking around.
And if they can if you recognize us from our very accurate avatars, by the way, then come up and say hello.
Me too. Two buff dudes. Two buff anime characters walking around.
I'm sorry, I completely sidetracked you.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, this is just we're just talking, but I do think that they work against themselves. I would love to think that it was, hey, we have this Halo. People have been calling for a Halo TV show for a while. Let's do that. But if you're going to do that, then the only people clamoring for that are the fans. And so if you go back and you're like, okay, well, you know what the fans really like? When you completely change what they like about a story. It's like,
oh, yes.
It's like, hey, the fans are really calling for this Halo TV show. There's money to be made here. All right, I got you. What do Halo fans like? Well, they like Master Chief, and they kind of like the lore and a lot of the story and like development. Master Chief's journey and Cortana's journey and all the associated B plot characters. They're like, okay, cool. So what if we take that and we just scrub that? And we'll do something completely different.
Okay. I'm sure that the very few Halo fans that we have that are listening to this right now. Okay, I'm just gonna say. The story for the Halo games are fucking stupid, okay? Like, I don't remember them being anything good, okay? So, I mean, yeah, okay, the books that they wrote may have a good story that lead into this and they flesh out the actual events. But all I can remember, and granted, I played Halo's campaigns only a couple of times, and by the way, I'm a purist. I've been playing since the original Xbox, okay?
All right, you are a dedicated fan. You're a dedicated fan 10 years removed, but
okay, so Halo 1 was cool. Halo 2 and 3 were the exact same fucking thing, at least from what I can remember. They found more Halos each time, and they destroy them. I don't recall much.
Hey, you like one Halo? What if we had a lot of Halo?
Right. And like, I remember the most interesting thing that was in the marketing for Halo 2 being the attack on Earth, and it lasted like the first hour of the game, and it was completely just sidelined.
That was a big part of the marketing, was like Earth is being invaded, and then it was abruptly.
Right, and it lasted like the first hour of it, and it was not.
But
like,
what I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. The reason that happened is because they weren't expecting to find Earth. They didn't know that Earth was the home planet of humanity at this point. They just knew it as another like precursor for whatever those guys were called.
Yeah, the Forerunners. I think that's right.
Yeah, like they just happened to stumble upon it because they were looking for Forerunner. I don't know if that's true. That's my headcanon, I think.
The bottom line of it is that the story for these games is chaotic at best, and maybe there is a lot of lore there, though. Yeah, but and that's just the overarching story. That doesn't go into like the individual teams and missions. Like, what is ODST or like the Noble? What's the Spartan 2, like Spartan 3 programs, and all the lore of like how Master Chief went from like being abducted as a kid and then, you know, part of the Spartan program and stuff like that. I get how if from the games, Spartan 117 was supposed to be this like faceless, nameless force of nature that you can put yourself in the driver's seat, you can put yourself in his shoes and be that character as the game's events unfold around you. But in its most literal sense, I don't know how well that translates to attempting to navigate driving that story in an episodic format. Right. It's not like an RPG where you're influencing the stuff that's happening in the game. You're just kind of going from one thing to one thing as the game plays out. And so I get why why there is this desire to expand on that. But at the same time, it's had its highs and lows. What I'm getting at is overall, I enjoy this show. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that I don't remember a lot of lore. I don't care, right, that they tried something new. I think that Master Chief as himself, in the parts that we get to see Master Chief be Master Chief, are pretty cool in a TV show, relative to them playing him in a game or a cutscene. Wow. And I think, and from there, like, what else do you want? Like, that would be my question to critics, is like what I want is less Juan stuff. Yeah.
Juan.
I was really, really hoping that I actually, when I saw her come into this episode and her and Chief being together, I'm like, oh great, they're gonna like send her off and I never have to see her again. And, like, they combine these plots. Nope. Now she's doing some other thing. I don't remember exactly. I think she's got some kind of mission now to do. But
there's some mysticism around like her from the last.
I forgot she had that vision or something like that. I remember now. Yeah, I don't.
She had that vision at like the end of the last season, and then now they're leaning into this like mysticism. You don't really know how it's playing in. I think that her character only exists because it's budgeting. Like, they have to be able to do these like in a bottle episodes,
because they're like far less expensive than the Chiefs episodes.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just don't think they integrate her B plot very well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of cool with like the Soren stuff, but even his character, I'm like, I'm not bought into it. I'd rather just see more of the Master Chief stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I think you hit the nail on the head that it's definitely a budgetary thing.
Yeah. So they're like, we have to have a B plot, and it has to be something we can cut to pad the runtime. Which, when you're talking about like 10 episodes in a season, that's pretty bad. But it does cut down on the budget to be able to cut to those and have those in a bottle moments where you're just in one location, one scene, a handful of characters. You're not blowing your budget in that, so you can save it for the more important stuff. And that's fine. I just don't think they did it very well. So you're always like waiting. It's like, I need to watch this to grasp the greater arc, but at the same time, I don't want to watch this because it's boring. Right. And I want to skip through it to get to the Master Chief stuff, but at the same time, like, I know that they're going to tie this. It's going to be some crucial plot point, like, later on.
Yeah, probably.
From episode 1 to episode 3, I think I told you, I put those at about 5 to 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Ranking. Yeah. And then episode 4 was at like an 8 out of 10. I think it did really well. And then this last episode was like at a 4 or 3 out of 10.
Oh, man, it's not really.
Yeah, not because
I would have put it at below it, but maybe at about a 7.
Really? You liked it that much? I mean, I don't...
Well, I mean,
I just thought it was boring.
It felt necessary. It may be a little bit boring, but I felt like the story that they were putting forth was necessary.
I didn't know where else they could go, right? If you are going to just sidestep Reach because you don't have the budget to, like, show...
It seemed like everything that happened in the episode was a necessary point, like a necessary... like step in Chief's story of coming to grips with the fact that he like wasn't going to be able to, like, he failed. And I think this is the first time, and I think that's important, that this was like the first time that the Chief failed. Like he couldn't save everybody. Like he kept saying that he wanted to go back and try to keep saving them, but like, you know, there's nothing left, and there's nothing he could do. Like the planet was gone by the time he woke up. And I think it was an important part, because now he just sees red. All he's going to do now is just kill, and eventually it's going to get him to a point where he has to kind of come back from that, or it's going to kill him. And I think it's going to be an interesting continuation to the rest of the season to see where that lands.
As long as they don't make his big conflict at the end, like versus what's her name, Kai.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who was that female Spartan at the end of the episode? I remember. She looked familiar, but I don't remember who.
That's Kai.
What's her? And I don't remember. She was from the first season. I don't recall.
Yeah, she was the second one to take out her emotion control pill.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
she was one that was like violently loyal to him, and then, you know, at the last minute, like, pivots away to say, like, yo, he's going crazy. Like, I need to go with Ackerson, and that's fine. Like, I'm fine with that being her arc. That's where I suspected she went anyways. When they were like, oh, she's probably out hunting and she's probably dead now, and I'm like, nah, she went with that.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly where they were going with the story. But we knew that as the audience, Master Chief and Riz and them didn't know that.
I do remember that now. But like, how do you feel more about that supposed plot hole that you were talking about, as far as them not gathering Cortana when they left?
Oh yeah, so that is an important piece, right? What I don't want is for them not to address it at all. And I feel like that's what they're going to do.
I don't think you're going to get what you want. I don't think that it was some kind of trap that they put. I mean, it could be. It could be that they left Cortana on purpose, and Cortana is going to be like, give them information to try to, you know, because I mean, the end of the season has to be Chief getting Cortana back, right? I mean, that has to be how it ends up, because they have to have Cortana before Chief makes it to Halo.
So here's how the sequence of events plays out, or has played out, if they don't address it. Hey, where's my armor? Ackerson took your armor with all the important people because it was all we needed to take all the valuable assets. We knew the Covenant were on Reach. We knew that they were going to attack soon. We had ample time to take. He was speaking to Cortana a day before this was supposed to happen, because she had already had the projections of when it was going to happen. And so then from there, Cortana is what's her name? His love interest.
Yeah. I don't remember her name.
It's like we don't even remember people for this. She starts speaking to Cortana.
Yeah.
Cortana says, I'm not giving you anything. And then, conveniently, the Arbiter takes them back to High Charity, right? High Charity,
yes.
Yes, yeah. So then he takes them back right off screen, because she doesn't realize what's going on. She's just crying in the room.
Yeah.
And then they get back to High Charity, and he's like, why did you take me back here? I was like, because honor demands it. And, like, I'm just supposed to know, because I'm a Halo fan, that, like, this guy is honorable and, like, cares about honor, and, like, that's this whole thing. Like, I don't know if that's been planted well enough. I'll have to go back and watch the episodes. But, like, if you didn't know anything about Halo, watching this too, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Also, like, that scene of him being, like, in awe of, like, the seeing Halo, is it the fact that he was in awe of seeing Halo, or in awe of the technology of it being projected? Because I'm like, you're a fucking alien with, like, super advanced technology. You've never seen, like, a hologram. Like,
so that's what I'm saying.
Do you think this is like the spiritual awakening, or do you think that maybe this is just some kind of computer program that's projecting this, buddy?
Conveniently, then, Cortana shows them the Halo when they need to show it. And it's just like, it's all too convenient for me. That, like, okay, so you know that the Covenant is coming. You know you're going to take the most valuable assets. You leave Cortana behind. Sure. You leave Halsey behind. Sure. I mean, whatever. You could have just killed her.
It's true.
Soren is his name. You bring Soren there for some reason, even though the planet's about to fall. And then so naturally they get Cortana. They don't really know who Cortana, what she is, or what value the only reason she seems to care is because Cortana knows Master Chief, which again is a liability for OSI because Cortana knows where Earth is and knows everything that Master Chief knows about everything that he's encountered. And then conveniently towards the end, she just happens, because she's there, she's able to... You realize that had they not had Cortana, they would have gone back to High Charity, and she probably would have had to stand trial and then been executed, right? Because she failed in her mission. But conveniently, Cortana was left behind so that she could conveniently show the Arbiter
and
the Halo.
Because they don't even go on Charity. It's used as a way to sidestep it, and then basically then go to Halo right now, and then it would bring the Covenant fleet to Halo.
Yeah,
conveniently when Chief will arrive at the Halo as well.
So it's like, I don't want that to be the case. I want there to be a little bit more thought put into it. Because it's just I just think it's too convenient that it's like, hey, we're going to take our most valuable stuff. What about Cortana?
It's our AI that probably is like one of the
heavy,
like more expensive than like an entire warship. Nah,
it's too heavy.
That thing has to weigh at least 6 pounds, dude. Are you fucking crazy?
And then the only way that she, the Arbiter doesn't turn her in for failing her mission is Cortana's conveniently there to show him the Halo and that there's more going on, or at least he's the chosen. He can be the chosen. Effectively to change his mind, right? Regardless of the reason. She was there as a convenience to change his mind, but she would have never been there had they actually stuck to what they said, which was to take their most valuable assets. So that's why I'm hoping, beyond hope, for a more intelligent outlook where it's like, no. Ackerson planned this to throw them off.
How many times have we had this conversation, Nick, where you hope for this highbrow thing for a TV show, only to be disappointed?
Wait, only to be the lowest common denominator. It's like, no. That's as far as they went. They needed a reason.
I think you expect way too much of these producers, dude.
They invented that, right? They didn't have to bring her back to High Charity. She could have continued on glassing planets, right? They were the ones who set that. It was unexpected. He was like, oh, we're back at High Charity? Why are we here? It was like, oh, because we failed at our mission. I'm like, well, there are plenty of other human colonies. Like, did you?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to write into the story that...
I feel like they would step on way too many toes if the Pillar of Autumn wasn't part of the show, right?
And maybe that's the grand question. Will the Pillar of Autumn show up at some point by the end of this season?